So firstly, let's just acknowledge that we're gathered on the unceded and traditional territories of the Tishat and the Huipachesset people. And we thank them for their stewardship of this land, and we give thanks for the rain. I don't mind the rain, it's really okay. Wow. I thought this morning, when it was just pouring down with rain, it just seems appropriate somehow to begin Wild Church and just have unpredictable weather. So just a few words about the purpose of Wild Church, and for anybody who might see this video later, my name is Reverend Minnie Hornage. I serve both the congregation of Alberni Valley United Church and the new emerging Center for Faith, Connection, Dialogue, and Learning. Sorry, Rick.
That's good.
Wild Church is just not church moved outside. Wild Church is about reconciling with the land and listening to her sacred teachings.
And raindrops.
And raindrops, that's right. There's a teaching going on here right now.
Angels are crying right now.
As human beings, I think we've become kind of less connected to the earth, generally speaking. So this is an opportunity for us to practice that connection. So I just hope that I can provide a space where we can listen to the earth in community and to share whatever it is we're learning. So that one of the questions we're journeying with today is, what is creation? What is this land saying to us? And what does it need? So that kind of the question of what does the land need comes from some of the writings of Wendell Berry, he's a prophet for responsibility. Anyway, he said, we have the world to live in on the condition that we take good care of it. And to take good care of it, we have to know it. And to know it and be willing to take care of it, we have to love it. So right now we're going to walk to the Kitsuxis Creek Bridge. And I'll give you a little overview of what I'm imagining we might do together, and that is up for discussion and could change depending on the weather. We're going to walk to the bridge. When we get to the bridge, I'll lead us in a short breath meditation. I'm going to read one of Wendell Berry's poems, and it'll be about 10 minutes or so for you just to walk in nature, to listen, to just wonder about what it is that creation is saying to you and to us. There'll be an opportunity to come back together to share that after. So I'll have a bell that I'll ring, and I also have a whistle.
You need a bear whistle out here this time of year.
I do have one. It's on my backpack. So, good point, right? Good point, yes. It's in my notes here too, that safety is a primary concern of mine, and be bear aware. There are bears. I encountered one up a tree a couple nights ago when I was out for a walk at dusk. As I left, Bruce said, "Watch for bears, honey." And I said, "What?" Until these children came running up to me saying, "There's a bear up the tree, there's a bear." They were very excited. So we'll just pay attention and be bear aware. As we get partway down this pathway, you'll come across a spot where there's two trees. One's a cedar tree. I think the other one might be a fir tree, so you can correct me when we get there if I'm wrong. And they're growing together, and their roots are kind of entwined. So we'll stop there for a minute. And so we'll go mindfully and just allow your senses to be open to what's happening around you. What you're feeling, what you're sensing, more what you're sensing than what your mental activities are trying to ask you to think about. So in the rain, let's go for a walk. a little rain on the hair doesn't hurt, right? We can talk with one another as we're walking. That's great. So is this a place that you walk very often?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite spot, John? Hello.
I just like
Oh, it is.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite spots around here. I think it's partly because there's just like a bend in the river, and often there are people down there with their dogs in the pond. Yeah, so it's quite cool.
This is his playground.
I love how the roots, right, of the tree entwine together.
This is like the sermon you did where you were talking about the tree of life.
Yeah.
This is a nice layout.
Yeah, I think I discovered this after I did that sermon, and I thought, this is image, right?
It is.
Beautiful, yeah. So, this is, of course, a cedar tree. So, does anybody know for sure? No, I think it's a fir tree. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, I believe it is a fir tree, yes.
So, yeah.
Fir or hemlock, one of the two.
Yeah, I wondered if it
Not
might have...
hemlock.
No, I think, by the cones, I think it's fir. And by the thickness of the bark, yeah. But,
Neat on nature how things just grow so it goes together depending upon what it has.
So it just looks like lots of people could stop to sit there, right? Yeah, so it was a place for people just to pause and be.
And the leaves being pounded down is not the wind, it's just the rain coming down.
Walk on to the bridge.
That weatherman didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, the man always does not always exactly tell the truth.
It's not supposed to be any rain till 11 o'clock tonight.
That's what it is, 3 hours difference.
You know, I just about lost my
It's not the finite videotaping we're used to.
So my idea was to walk out on the bridge, but maybe you'd like to be under the protection of the tree. Hey,
Look, there's even a plaque.
pardon?
And look, there's even a plaque.
There's a plaque there. That's right.
And then there's a whole whack of tables out there that have the various Spencer names on them.
Yeah, yeah. It's all kinds of history, right, in this place. So I'm just going to lead us in a bit of a breath prayer and read a piece of poetry of Wendell Berry called Peace of Wild Things. Wendell Berry talks a lot about that sometimes the best we can do is to go and rest in the grace of the world. and I just thought that was quite beautiful. So I think we'll do an abbreviated breath prayer because are you okay? You're fine. All right.
Come under the umbrella.
It's okay. I don't mind getting
True
wet.
West Coasters.
We're true West Coasters, right? We come prepared. Whenever it's a rainy day like this, my daughter loves to just go out and walk in the rain. It's a beautiful thing. And she said the other day to me, she put it on Facebook, she said people at her workplace were talking about how wet it was and how they weren't really enjoying the rain at all. And she said she went out and she said, when it's raining, you just got to jump in the puddle.
Exactly. Enjoy the beauty of what's
Enjoying
there.
the beauty.
Jump in the deep end of the pool.
That's right. So just for a moment, I invite you to breathe in and out. Take in all of the sounds of this place. And there are many today. There's the sound of the rain. It's almost as if you can hear it dripping off of some of the leaves and see it as you look at them. I think that somehow the rain and the needing to kind of gather close to the trees just helps us to take a closer look at what's going on around us. So as I read this poem, I invite you just to begin to focus in on the land, the trees, whatever it is that kind of grabs your attention. And we do a little bit of what we call Visio Divina, which is sacred looking. So we look as if we're looking with sacred eyes and to see what it is that really is catching our attention, shimmering for us. This is Wendell Berry's The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wooddrake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought or grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. In the ancient Celtic church, they believed that the divine voice really spoke through creation. They're very much a creation-centered Christian church. And they had this really strong sense that we have, yes, sacred texts, which we call our scripture, but there's also the book of creation. And that's the natural world. So today I'm just going to invite you to focus on the sacred text of creation. Take 5 or 10 minutes, it doesn't rain too hard, and wander about. If you wander up this trail, it will take you up to the trestle and the waterfall. It takes me about 8 minutes because I meander up to walk up there. Be bear aware. To walk back the way we came, or you can do a loop around if you like, or there's some picnic tables by the river in the meadow, or you might just want to stand here and wonder, what is creation saying to you? What is creation to you? And when you hear the bell and or the whistle, if you don't come at the sound of the bell, let's just gather, depending on whether the rain stops or not. If the rain stops, we'll gather on the bridge. If the rain doesn't stop, we'll gather here where it's drier and just share what we heard, what we learned as we listen to the book of creation. Well, welcome back. How was your walk?
Really good.
Really good.
Yeah. I took pictures of slugs
Pictures of slugs.
in the moss.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, I look forward to seeing those pictures. And what did you see? What did you hear?
Sneakers or sneakers? Sneakers. Sneakers? I might be on later.
It's okay.
Please pardon me. Do I hear a drum? Oh. Anyways, along my walk, you know, I kept thinking to myself that, what are you wanting to say to me right now? And so I'm listening, I'm waiting. What do you want to say to me right now? And then what I could hear were the birds. I'm thinking, okay, they're taking cover. It's really wet out, so they're taking cover. What did I notice was we've had a long, dry summer, not hot. We rarely got over 30 degrees this year, so it wasn't hot, but it was dry. And I noticed how thirsty the forests are in my own neighborhood. Certainly in the western provinces that we visited this year, same, a lot of dry spells, a lot of forests that were more brown than green. And so today when I was walking, what I noticed was more green appeared to me, even though I'm sure that didn't happen overnight, but it's almost like the leaves are grateful and just sucking it in, that, you know, we need this, thank that, you know, God, that we've got it, He's given it to us, we're going to drink. And, you know, hopefully it's going down to the root systems where it needs to be, because we don't want to see these trees fall. You know, this is a beautiful forest, and although they look rather healthy, what's happening underneath we don't know, because it has been way too dry. And then I did get up to the trestle, and I walk fast. So I got up to the trestle, and I got up to the waterfall up there, and it's amazing how much you can't hear up there, because it's really, really flowing hard, and it's loud. So you really are just you and your thoughts. And I'm just looking around and watching, and just, it's really neat when you're just alone like that. And I thought, oh, that whistle's going to blow soon, so I better think about getting back. And I turned around, and there's a memory bench of Jan Harper. I know who Jan Harper was, and I couldn't believe that it had been 9 years since Jan Harper had left us. And I was wondering what that meaning was. Like, I didn't know her extremely well. I knew who she was. She was a really good friend of my friend Anne's. And so we would see each other at common gatherings. And so to all of a sudden see that, and there was 3 rather large maple leaves on that bench. And I kind of thought, that must be Eldon and her 2 children, you know, that are thinking of her today, you know. So I thought that was really interesting, and so when I came back down, I thought I sense gratitude for this rain. A lot of people will complain about it. Mid-November will come and we'll have lots of rain, and a lot of folks will complain about it, but try and remember, this is the west coast of Vancouver Island, the wet coast of Vancouver Island, and we need it. And, you know, it's desperate. I like this lush green and forest, and I don't want to see it disappear. But if you see right now, you see a lot of brown, you know, up in the trees and stuff like that. So hopefully that will not be a common thing, you know. And I did notice that the leaves are changing, yellows and oranges. Not as many reds, yellows and oranges. The reds are more for our back east friends. But you know, the change of seasons are always my favorite. I don't have a favorite season, but I like the change of a season. So by the time our hot, sticky summer is over, I'm happy to see it, you know, transition into fall. And who doesn't get excited about the first snowfall, unless you have to drive somewhere, right? But most times I'm out there loving it. So this is the change. Today is the first full day of fall, and this is the change. So it was kind of neat to go up there and see all that, feel all that. You know, I was waiting, I was listening. Like, okay, what are you supposed to tell me? And I think I got it. And the message about Jan, I'm not sure what that was about, but interesting.
Yeah, you can
Interesting.
let that sit with you too.
Yeah,
So
no kidding, hey?
gratitude for what you heard and what was offered.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Get out there and get grounded, right?
Just out of the blue, of all the benches, really. I mean, I had no idea where her bench was. So, kind of cool. Anyways, thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Anyone else like to say what they heard?
I focused on the silence of the slugs. And just watching them crawl up the moss on the tree, and obviously they had a mission, and I just watched them where they were going on the mission.
Thank you.
How about you, Minnie?
I wandered back to those two trees that we stopped at, the ones that are intertwined, and just stood there in kind of amazement, really, that two trees of different species are kind of coexisting, right? And as I look through the space in between, the leaves on the ground behind were just glistening with the rain, right? And so when you were talking about my interpretation anyway, almost the plants and the earth kind of being glad, right, for this water. It's like they were just glistening. So even though the sun wasn't shining on them, it certainly looked like they were just bright. And I thought, wow, maybe Wild Churches really is about sacred walking, sacred seeing. That's a very interesting and profound spiritual practice, I think.
I think that sometimes we get caught up into what's going on in the world around us, that we forget to just take a look at what's going on in nature around us. I'm lucky where I live. I live pretty close to Greenbelt myself, and so it's kind of nice to walk by. And bears come in my yard, and deer, and raccoons.
Oh, we get a little bit of everything in the yard.
Yep.
Well, I had to walk over to the creek behind me here, and looking at it, most people just think of water. But you got water coming down from the sky, you got water going along, so, and it's this time of year where it's the salmon spawning and everything, so it's all got to do with the circle of life. The rain comes down, goes in the stream, goes to the ocean, the fish come up, the fish die, they fertilize the foliage and whatnot, but the water comes back because it evaporates and then it comes back in, so it's a full circle. So I mean, it's a calming sound, the sound of the babbling brook, as they call it. But that's a calming sound, but it also puts into your head just the way that life carries on and carries on. Same as with your watering of the trees, that brings those up, and the slugs, they get their sustenance from the ground, from the moisture. And with your trees, same thing. So it's all the circle of life, right?
Circle of life, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful listening and hearing what was being spoken to you and kind of grounded in this cycle of life, which I think, as Natalie was saying a little bit of, sometimes we get out there in the fullness of life, there's much to do, right? And to stop and pause and listen is nourishing, very nourishing, I think, for our soul and spirit. So as we prepare to leave this holy place, just have a prayer to send you on your way. I pray for deep listening, listening alone, listening together, listening to others, listening to oneself, listening to the earth, listening to the universe, listening to the abundance that is, awakening and feeling sound and silence as all there is, helping to create an atmosphere of opening for all to be heard, with the understanding that listening is healing. Deep listening in all its variations is infinite. Deep listening is love. We walk away from here in the care of the earth. Amen. Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks, it was fun.
It was.